I don't know if this will show up on the video, really not sure, but it is April 7th, and most of the flurry has stopped, but maybe you'll see a snowflake or two drop. Maybe you'll see it if I film here. Yeah, we've got a snow flurry on April 7th, so once again, Southern Ontario has crazy weather. But I don't know if I'm proving my point, because I don't know if you can see this properly. Hope so. So in between modules, just doing a quick review of problem-based learning for myself. One of the reasons I'm doing this isn't because I have a high opinion of problem-based learning. It's because there is an article, I think it was 2013 or 2014, there were special issues of the International Journal of Osteopathic Medicine about osteopathic education, and there's a paper in there that talks about problem-based learning, basically says, yeah, it would be awesome in osteopathy, with no research on its application in osteopathy, if I remember right. I may remember wrong. I'll probably pull that up and then incorporate all of this into a podcast episode. But anyways, problem-based learning. So this is in 2003. The other thing before I do this, if you are interested in problem-based learning, you are an educator, and you're seeing this, I'm attempting to be helpful. I'm trying to be helpful to you. If you lean into PBL as a title, it suggests very superficially that you know something, but you don't know enough. You don't know the underlying phenomenon of learning, of educational delivery. You haven't assayed the available literature. Broadly speaking, there's definitely papers where you pull them up and they'll be from 2021, 22, 23. Problem-based learning helps learning with this or helps learning outcomes. It's not the grand phenomena in an unfortunate sense, especially depending on how it was done. But anyways, so we got something from the BMJ here. What is problem-based learning? Let me zoom out a little bit so maybe this will get caught properly. In problem-based learning, PBL students use triggers from the problem, case, or scenario to define their own learning objectives. Subsequently, they do independent, self-directed study before returning to the group to discuss and refine their acquired knowledge. Thus, PBL is not about problem-solving per se, but rather it uses appropriate problems to increase knowledge and understanding. The process is clearly defined and several variations exist. All follow a similar set of steps. So I don't know, but this sounds like normal student behavior, just organized. Students will stumble on something, they'll go try to figure it out, they'll come back and they'll talk to other students who they're comfortable with. But if you formalize it, it's almost like a forcing function. You're putting them in these groups to do normal student things based on a presented problem. Now, the presented problem is chosen. It's not the problem that the student necessarily identifies that they have as an individual, so this may be easy to them, but whatever. Anyways, it's group work. There's argumentation, whether it started at Mac or whether it started, or McMaster rather, or Harvard. Those arguments kind of aren't worth much. But anyways, I happen to have some connection to Dr. Jeffrey Norman because he was the sort of start of the program that I did for my master's. Now, Dr. Norman is a longtime medical education guy. He was big in problem-based learning early on. He was at Mac and helping develop it. There's discussions you can have on what the heck that means, but whatever. Here's an article from 2008. And Dr. Norman is the primary author with two collaborators, and the article is Predicting Doctor Performance Outcomes of Curriculum and Interventions, Problem-Based Learning and Continuing Competence. So abstract, blah, 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 blah. The results are what matters. Results. We found that 4% of McMaster graduates and 5% of other graduates were deemed to demonstrate cause for concern or serious concern. 24% of McMaster doctors and 28% of other doctors were rated as excellent. These differences were not significant statistically. That's me adding that in to read again. Multiple regressions indicated that certification by family medicine of a specialty or a specialty, female gender, and younger age were all predictors of practice outcomes, but school graduation was not. Conclusions. There's no evidence from the study that PBL graduates are better able to maintain competence than graduates of conventional schools. The study highlights potential problems in attempting to link undergraduate educational interventions to doctor performance outcomes. That part is less interesting. It is this one. There's no evidence from the study that PBL graduates are better able to maintain competence than graduates of conventional schools. So PBL, it might seem sexy, you might like it, you might have experienced it and thought it was integral to what you think your outcomes are. that's just what you like. No big deal. Anyways, that's 2008. This is 2019. This is McMaster at 50. What? Let me go up there. McMaster at 50. Lessons learned from 5 decades of PBL. And this is, again, Alan Neville, Dr. Norman, Jeffrey Norman, and Robert White. So Norman is the second author. I'm going to read this, and obviously for a vlog style thing, this is a little longer, but I do this, so whatever, it's my vlog. To read this, although educators frequently act as a curricular are as standardized as drug doses, 300 milligrams of PBL TID, such is not the case. As a case in point, at its inception, problem-based learning was hailed as a major curriculum innovation with the promise of enormous gains in learning outcomes. Very quickly, ecclesiastical debates arose as what was true PBL and what was modified PBL. Ironically, systematic reviews conducted fairly early in its evolution showed that the gains in learning outcome from PBL were neither large nor uniform. Vernon and Blake in Academic Medicine, issue 68, page 550 to 563, 1993. The most consistent finding was greater student satisfaction. So, I don't need to read more for that. What it is, I'll just highlight this. It's the last sentence I read. Ironically, systematic reviews conducted fairly early in its evolution showed that the gains in learning outcome from PBL were neither large nor uniform, and the most consistent finding was greater student satisfaction. You may have heard me talk about this before, but there's a lot of ink spilled over what I call a customer service construct, which is student satisfaction. Did the students like it? Now, that matters in education because if the students don't like it, they disengage. So what they want to learn, they can't learn because they disengage. But it is not indicative of performance outcomes. Sometimes there's going to be a relationship, and that relationship is probably, if I was to make a prediction, more about engagement or lack thereof. So the students like it, that's cool, that's awesome, but it doesn't mean it's a fantastic method. It's really about the same as any other method as far as, say, learning outcomes. The thing that seems to predict most learning outcomes and performance outcomes is experience and knowledge specific to task. So if, again, in what I'm experiencing as somebody in the osteopathic profession is that there's a cycle of me hearing about PBL again or seeing mention of PBL again, if you happen to be interested in it and you like it, I'm trying to help you. It's not something to leverage as much as it's something that may have been positive in your experience. If it's positive in your experience, you know, more power to you, wonderful. But it's not something to highlight. It's not a big deal. So now we're back to the super extra mundane between modules and restocking things like the Nespresso machine. So a student early on brought in an extra Nespresso machine they had, so they gifted that. There we go, it's popped open. Yeah, there we go, get some focus. And there's some coffee pods, so here we go. Dump these suckers in. Get some more. Hopefully they'll all actually fit this time. Maybe not. I got another sleeve to put in, which probably won't work. Now, when this was brought in initially, somebody did bring in some pods. One of the pods apparently is supposed to be served cold. Will that do it? Juicy watermelon. So apparently you're supposed to brew this and then serve it cold. There were a few of these pods in here. There's only one left. What I'm going to do is leave this on the side so that it's not necessarily in here and throwing anybody off when they're looking for coffee. I'm just going to leave it to the side. Maybe, as an experiment, somebody will drink it. I don't know, but we'll see. Also, one student chose to bring in a sleeve. Oh gosh, focus. Come on. Of double espresso chiaro decaffeinato. So decaffeinated espresso. So I think they want a small cup, but without caffeine. There we go. Another thing, well, actually, briefly, you get to see to some degree how I set up when I film for things. This is actually, well, film for the podcast. It's actually my favorite color combination. The red against the blue, it makes me sort of think of when I was a kid. I think they called them the rocket ship popsicles, or spaceship. something like that, red, white, and blue. But then setting this up over here, setting up a screen properly so that I can display anatomy on that. I was thinking about doing things like anatomy posters and different collages. I was even setting up a decal, so I was actually going to make a sticker. But instead, what I decided was if I've got that screen there, I can put whatever anatomy is required. Now, obviously, it's low. I may hear some complaints about things like sightlines. It's not the point. The point is, if you have a question, you have a curiosity, you need to see some anatomy, you can put it there, you can walk up to it, you can look at it at the right height. And then also, this light sitting here, that's partially just the light that I'll use to change some things with respect to when I'm shooting the podcast. But between now and the mod, I gotta get that back in the right place. So yeah, sometimes spaces can be modular. You can change them up, do what you need to do with them, and they work pretty darn good for whatever purposes you have. So there you go.